So if you are out in the country like I am, you're blessed to have bluebirds. They're wonderful. But of course, there's a whole lot of problems that go with those too. This is a male and a female. You can see the bright blue there on the left. That's the male, and the female's on the right. And they're sitting there by a cavity. And many years ago, we didn't have bluebird boxes. We had fence posts. And those fence posts would become rotten, and the bluebirds would live in those. And this was their old trees, and rotten fence posts was their way of nesting. You didn't have to have boxes. Then we had this thing called World War II that came along, and they introduced a lovely chemical called DDT. And DDT was wonderful because it took away the bugs, and because it was good in delousing the soldiers, they thought it would be good here, so they sold it. And when that happened, it killed all of the insects, and our bluebird population was just gone. Oh, wow. Just over a few years, there was no food, and they literally starved to death. So there was an industrious group that decided if they built housing, they banned DDT. You couldn't use it. You still can't use it here, but we sell the heck out of it to Central and South America, even though we can't use it. So, but anyway, the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts got together and they built these little boxes like this one over here. And they started distributing these boxes, and so everybody got into it, and the bluebirds have made a comeback now. They are very present with us. And this is the box. The most important thing about this box is the size of the hole. That's 1.5 inches. And that will allow a bluebird to go in, but it will exclude a starling and a larger bird. Starlings are really bad. They will go in. If they can get in your box, they will kill your birds, kill the eggs. Everything is looking for food, water, cover. Everything. You and I and all of us. Without food, water, cover, we're going to die. And this is true with our critters. So these starlings will go in there and destroy whatever's there in order to have a house. So with that 1.5 inches, that will exclude some species. It will not exclude your English sparrows. And the English sparrows will get in there and they will kill your babies. They'll destroy the eggs, kill your babies, because they are looking for food, water, or cover. Yes, they will. They will peck the eggs and carry the eggs out. They will kill the babies. So what you have to do with these guys is I let them nest, and I let them lay eggs, and I count the number of weeks till right before they're ready to hatch, and then I destroy the nest. That way I'm not having to kill babies. And there's something about killing a baby bird that's sort of hard to do, you know, even if it is an English sparrow. But nevertheless, what you have done, instead of having 2 or 3 new English sparrows next year, you don't have 20. Because if you let all of those eggs hatch, they're going to stay in that area, and you're going to have more and more English sparrows. So by controlling the population that way, that helps. But it is by no means, you know, the problem. They're exotics, they're here, and we just have to deal with them. Okay, there are other cavities. Now, people used to put gourds up for housing for birds, and they did this for purple martins. But the one thing about it is these bluebirds are like sparrows. They found a hole. They're going to build. Everything is getting food, water, cover. So if you put any kind of structure up like this, you may get a bluebird. This was, I was an officer in Carroll County, and this was a house, and they had an abandoned box there, and these birds, they nested there every year. So it was just, sometimes any kind of cavity will do. The nesting box are better because it does deter some species, but if they're in something like this and they're happy, you know, let them have it. Okay, this is typical of what you see. They're little blue eggs. This is probably an average size clutch. Sometimes you will get a bird, bluebirds and other species too, that are overachievers, and you may have 20 or 30 eggs in there. Oh, wow. Now, are they all fertile? Most of the time, they're not incubated correctly. You know, if in the cool weather, if she doesn't incubate them, the embryo will die. So if you have an overabundance of eggs, sometimes, you know, you may not get that many babies. I'm not sure we need that many.
You said if she doesn't what?
incubate them.
Oh.
She has to incubate them. When she incubates, when you band birds, one of the things you do is you see if they're incubating. We catch birds that are in nets from way up in the trees, and you blow on the belly, and there will be a bare spot on the chest and the belly. That is the incubation area there. So she gets this in the spring when she has her spring changes. These feathers will come out, and that allows that skin to lay next to the eggs. And that helps her incubate. And in the fall, she will grow the feathers back. I mean, nobody wants to go around with a bare belly in the winter, you know? And the same,
Sit on 20 eggs too.
yeah, the same thing happens with the males.
Oh my gosh.
The males have, their testes are carried up in their body in the winter. You know, if their testicles were out in the winter, they'd probably freeze off. So they're carried up in the body. And in the spring, when a photoperiod gets long enough, you have chemical changes in the brain, and the testes will descend. And this is important when you band birds, because when you fill out the banding form, they want to know if it's a male or female. If you've got a blue jay, who knows? They all look alike, you know. But if you can turn them up and blow on them, and you see the presence of testicles, you know that this is indeed a male, and you can tell by the size that it's in a breeding mode. So you learn a lot of things. That's one thing y'all really need to do is go down to Warner Park when they're banding birds. That is the most fascinating thing, to watch them band, and they will teach you all this stuff.
Where do you go?
Warner Park in Nashville. Yeah, that would be a great trip. But they start banding, they band hummingbirds, and they band all kind of migrating birds. And they've got some really cool data. They put about 5 nets up that look like an old-fashioned hairnet. You know, you ladies remember that. Y'all were old enough to remember those. But they'll put them across the trail, and these birds will fly into them, and you take the bird out, and then you bring it up there and you process it. So you weigh it, you measure it. And they found the most interesting things. They have found warblers that they have caught like 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row. They come to this, they've gone to Central and South America, they come back and they end up in the same city, the same state, the same city, the same park, and sometimes the same net. So that's how sophisticated your migratory pattern is.
What's a good time of the year for that banding time?
Go online,
Okay.
and that would be a good thing for the whole group of y'all, is just plan a trip there. Go online or either call and find out when they're doing the bird banding.
Okay.
It's called Monitoring Aviation Population Survivability, but just bird banding would be enough. Now later in the spring, they will do hummingbirds that way. They will actually catch the little hummingbirds and put a little band on them. So yeah, they do great stuff. That's a great place to go. Now here's what your babies look like. And this is what they look like, you know, when they're ready to fledge. You'll notice the bluer ones, these are males. Even right now, they're getting that color, the bluer color than the females.
Now, what did the 10 days relate to that you had?
That's how long they've been incubating.
Oh, okay.
That's what they look like after they've hatched and before they fledge. So
Okay, so the 19 days that was on there, is that the incubation period?
incubation period, and then you have the babies, and then they get their flight feathers, and then after that, they're out of there.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
it's only like 10 days before they feather?
Yep.
Wow.
But here again, when you go down if you go down there, they can look at the area there, the incubation period there, or the spot on there. I'm trying to think of what the name of it is. You know how it is when you reach a certain age and the words just don't come? Yeah. So, but they can tell by looking at them the age of the bird. If you're a good bird bander, it's really fascinating to watch them. So these guys are fixing to fledge. Okay, there you go. We've got our baby, and this is the male feeding the baby. And in a couple of about 2 weeks, they will be feeding themselves. Okay, this is ideal bluebird habitat. It is a grassy area. They don't like trees, they don't like high grass. So if you let your grass grow up, they'll probably abandon the nest. They won't come back. They really like a grassy area like that. For one thing, it deters things like foxes and snakes and other things like that. The shorter your grass is, usually animals like that, predatory animals like that, like habitat, so they can sort of, you know, catch their prey. particularly snakes because they eat rodents, mice and rodents, and those are usually in high grass. So the bluebirds will absolutely, they will abandon it if it gets too brushy. The 1.5-inch hole is important. I told you that, and we've got some more stuff we'll talk about later on that. But many times when you put a box up, it's an ideal habitat, and they don't like it. I don't know why, but it's just like, this is not what we're looking for. And I have actually gone out and taken the box up and moved it 3 or 4 feet one way or the other, and they're perfectly happy. It's just, I don't know. It's just sometimes, so if you've got a box up and
Location.
that's it, exactly. That's it. That real estate. Okay, this is food. Now, they are insect eaters. They need protein, so just about any kind of protein that's out there, if you've got any kind of flowers or anything like that, you know, they eat insects. Now, right now, it's been so we're in cold. I am feeding them mealworms. You can get dried mealworms, and I am feeding those. I don't do that all year, but it's just been so boogering cold that I'm fixing to take a bite out of this. But anyway, it's so cold they have a hard time finding insects. So the dried mealworms will work, but don't keep them there on that all year long. They need to earn their living. Yes, ma'am.
Are they here now?
Oh yeah, they're here all year. They're non-migratory. They're here all the time. Yes, ma'am.
How do you serve them the mealworms? I'm having trouble with, I never see them come eat them. I have them in a long one with holes, and I had them on a flat thing.
What I found is somebody gave me a lovely flower pot. It's a shallow bowl about this, and it hangs from chains, and it's some kind of composite material. And I had it, and what I do is I hang it up on my porch under the eaves, and I put the mealworms in that. You can take some kind of structure like that and put it on a post out in the middle of the yard close to where your bluebirds are.
How much should you put out at once? Because
Oh,
get wet or anything.
No, I just put like 1/4 cup, and when they find them, they'll just wear them out. The one thing you need to be careful of is if you've got a box there, like if you've got a box with babies or the birds in there incubating, you don't want to put the food there.
Okay.
Because I did that one day, and the next day I came back and a raccoon had found the food material, and when he found the food material, he got up and it busted up the nest. I don't think there was anything, there weren't any live babies, probably eggs or stuff. So if you put a food substance close to your nest, you're going to attract predators because they will smell that and they'll come to it. You can actually get mealworms that are, I guess raw would be a good word for it. Think about worms being raw. But you can actually buy containers. If y'all have never been to the wood thrush shop in West Tennessee, Western Nashville, you need to go. That is just it's a bodacious place. It's high dollar, but boy, they got some snappy looking stuff. But you can buy these dried mealworms in hardware stores, co-ops. If you want the live ones, you can get those online. You can actually order these online, and they will send them to you. But the birds really do love them, and particularly, I put them out sometimes in the winter because, like, we just had this cold, crappy winter, and there's just not been a lot of food substance or insects out there, so I have put those out.
That pet store on Broad Street too, that Animal City, they've got them.
Yeah. There are other things that eat these. There are a lot of people that have herps, like lizards and things like that. So this is a food source for other animals. So you might, seek some other place because there are other species, particularly herps, that will eat these.
Will they go bad if you leave them out? If they get wet and leave them out?
No, you're just talking about a dried worm. It's just all the insides are dried. But it still has the protein in it.
Yeah.
And if you have the ones that are alive, you can just keep those in the refrigerator. Just tell your husband what they are. He'll be wolfing those down. He'll be wolfing those down with his beer one day,
Did you say herbs? Did you say herbs?
No, no worms. Did I say herbs?
Yeah.
Worms.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is ideal habitat for the bluebird. Here you see all these flowers and everything, and it's a great place for finding insects. The one thing you don't need to do is spray, because when you spray, the insects will pick up the poison and you will kill your bluebirds, because this is what happened to many of our bluebirds. We were still hosing everything down early on with DDT before we can completely ban it and get rid of it, and it was killing our songbirds. It was killing our bald eagles. The only reason we got this stopped, the use of DDT, was because of the death of bald eagles, and that was our national symbol. And so with that, the Congress grew a pair of them and, you know, just absolutely wrote them off. And so that's made it illegal here. And like I say, they're still producing it and sending it to other countries. Yes, ma'am?
What about herbicides like weed killer and things like that? Will that
I don't know. And if I don't know, I wouldn't use it.
We use one though that's safe for pets,
Okay?
so I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that would be okay, because we have 2 small dogs.
Yeah. If it, you know, if it's okay for the dogs, it's probably okay for the birds. I don't know. If you read the label, you're just about as confused as you are before you didn't read the label. But try to stay away with as much chemicals as you can, because it's not helping any of us. Okay. Yes, be sure that you have water. They love water. Now, I love this bird bath, particularly with the cat in it. But what I do, I have a 5-gallon bucket that I dug a hole and put it in the ground close to the bird feeder, and then I have a plastic garbage can lid with some rocks. It's not very pretty, but it's really handy, because when you get ready to clean it, you throw the rocks out, you take it over to your hose, and you rinse it out, and then you bring it back, put the rocks in there, and fill it up with water. I ran into issues, and you will too if you have a bird bath out like that. You'll look out one night and you'll see a raccoon or a possum in there digging around and everything. So with this, this plastic just takes like, what do they say, takes a beating and keeps on ticking, like Timex. So it's just easy. But there are a lot of really pretty things, bird baths and stuff. The one thing you need to remember when you clean them with not Clorox, but vinegar. And when you clean your hummingbird nest or your hummingbird container, the feeder, use vinegar. Do not use Clorox. You don't drink Clorox, and the critters don't want to drink Clorox. A lot of people still use Clorox on their hummingbird feeders, so don't do that. Okay, this is cover. They've got to have some cover. Now, this high grass will provide insect mass. It's great for things like salamanders and frogs and mice. And mice are really important because they support our snake population. Our snake population is important because a snake around your house will get rid of your rodents. So if you're really frightened of a snake, one of the things you need to do is just be in mind, if you have you move anything in your yard, just bear in mind this would be a good place for a mouse. And if there's a mouse there, there's probably a snake. I get a lot of calls at the office. People will call and say, I've got snakes in my garage. And I'd say, well, do you have pets? Yes. Do you feed your pets in the garage? Yes. I said, when the pets eat, do you take up the food bowl? No, we keep them out all the time. What you're doing is you're inviting rodents in. So if you're keeping your pet food out on the porch, inside a building or something, you're inviting rodents. And if you're inviting rodents, you're inviting snakes. They're just there to eat. Cedar trees are wonderful because in the winter, when it is just blue cold and it just is not even economically feasible to go out and do things, the birds are the same way. There's no reason for the birds to get out and look for bugs when it's really cold. So they will go to a tree like this and go in torpor. They just go into torpor, T-O-R-P-E-R. They just go to sleep. Their body signs just close down, their blood pressure close down, and they go into this suspended animation. Hummingbirds are really good about doing that. If they come from migration early and they get here and we have a nor'easter, they will just close down. I've seen one or two on my porch just dead to the world in the cold. It would be so easy to reach them and grab them and pick up, but they will, when the weather's bad, they'll go into torpor. So if you have something like this, it's a great place for these birds to sleep, And secondly, it keeps them from the cover. I mean, it gives good cover. A hawk or an owl's not going to get them as long as they're in there, because that hawk and owl can't get in there. It knocks the wind off, so it makes them, you know, it just increases their life. Okay, bluebirds don't like cats, you know that. If you have cats, you should keep them locked. I love cats. I do. I love cats. So, but they're hunters. So when you turn this thing out, you may as well be ready for them. They're going to catch rodents, and if they get a chance at a bird, they will get a chance for a bird. Some people say that you need to put a bell on them, but I've seen people that try that. It doesn't work. The cat can get out of that. So you can't. This is a carnivore. It's the kinfolks to lions and tigers and jaguars. You're not going to take that wildness out. You can't fuss at it for catching a bird. It's okay for it to catch a rodent, but if it catches a bird, you fuss at it because it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand.
What's that on the right side?
That is aerial spray. That is the stuff that we're trying to do away with. They are now spraying, thank you for mentioning this, they are now spraying chemicals with helicopters. I visited an area close to Murray County where this lady had a bunch of dead songbirds. And I was looking around and I asked her, there was a big field across from where she lived, a residential area, mind you. And I said, is anybody spraying? She said, yeah. I said, they spray that field all the time. They bring a helicopter in and spray it. And I'm thinking, not only, you know, are your birds going to die, you're going to die. But it's perfectly legal for them to do this. So keep your cats indoors. I know it's hard. Okay, chemicals, here again, this is the chemicals. They are really harmful, and they can get into the whole thing. Once you get an insect that's got chemicals in it, and a bird eats it, or that bee gets chemicals, and something eats it, it passes it up to the food chain. Butterflies can catch this stuff. The grass itself has got chemicals, so when that rabbit eats, he's got a chemical load too. So is this affecting the hawk or the owl that's going to get him? I don't know. There's so many questions here that we don't know, but we know populations of birds and rodents and other things are going down, and we can only surmise that it has to do with the environment. Now this thing on the other side is a native plant, and, pardon?
I said it doesn't affect our rabbits.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad your rabbits are sturdier then. But this is a native plant that grows on a lot of our little fence rows there. And this is ideal food for bluebirds in the winter. When they can't get insects, they will provide, there's other foods, and I think I've got some more here. Nope, I don't. But there are other native plants that can provide food for them too. So when you see things like this, elderberries and sumac and things like that, you know, don't just cut it down because it's ugly, because there are a lot of species that, you know, that will eat it. All right. And this is just to sort of remind you that whatever you do there affects everything else. You spray your chemicals and stuff, and it has a way of going down the food chain. So just be careful what you do. And that's it. Well, thank you.